Yeah, the kelp forest is a beautiful place. It's like discovering a whole new world. It's a shelter for many marine life, from your plants to your crustaceans, smaller fish, bigger fish, your smaller sharks and seals hiding from the bigger sharks. This is their home, and when we enter it, we have to respect it. You know, for me, every year when the crayfish season is open, I wish that everyone can discover this life here underwater. Like I said, it's like a whole new world, and you're like flying through the forest and you're just admiring every little detail. So from a fishing point of view, it gets tricky. It demands a lot of patience, and it's not only getting stuck into the kelp, but also all the peckers and all the crayfish, that irritating feeling on your line rubbing against the kelp. But this is a good opportunity for you to get some fish. So first of all, fishing with braid in the kelp and rocks is very much possible. I suggest you take 40 to 50 pound braid and you add a braid leader of 6 to 8 meters with a 1.5 meter mono leader. I also learned the hard way using 20 to 30 pound braids in the rocks, and you know, your chances are 8 out of 10 breaking your leader off once you get stuck, and that wastes a lot of your fishing time. So this might seem like an overkill, you know, fishing 50 pound braid for a 2 kg galjoen, but the thing is, we're not fishing against the galjoen, we're fishing against the structure around the galjoen. So another thing that helps me is fishing smaller hooks. If you scale down one hook size, you can get in and out of the kelp and still land your fish. Right guys, we're using smaller hooks. Today we're fishing in the kelp. So we're going to use smaller hooks. This is a 4.0 Berkeley Fusion. You can downscale on these hooks and you can still, you know, land a decent sized fish if the hookup is good. So the reason why we're using smaller hooks is the kelp, like I said. So here's a piece of kelp, and I want to show you how difficult it is for this little hook to get stuck into the kelp. When you use a J hook, a bigger J hook, it's going to be problems. Even a big circle hook, you're going to get stuck much more than a smaller hook. And I learned this from fishing for galjoen and hotties in the kelp. You can get away with it, but it is risky. If the hookup is not good, you can lose that fish. But this is the way to get in and out that kelp. Fishing for KOB, smaller hook, strong hook. So yeah. When it comes to looking for a spot at the rocks, the best is to go on spring low, especially if you don't know the area. Look for deeper water in front of a reef or kelp where the white water is rolling over, and mark that spot for later when the water is pushing. So yeah, this is what I'm talking about. If you come early enough and you come on low tide, you can plan exactly where you're going to fish, where there's pinnacles and stuff you should avoid, where there's holes. And this is normally a good galjoen spot. Doesn't look like it now, but when the tide is pushing, there's a lot of white working water coming over these rocks, and it makes a good feeding place for galjoen. And yeah, I just picked up a few sinkers, and it's just evidence to show you that we do fish here. And on a high tide, it's difficult to see where the rocks are, where the holes are. That's why we lose them on the sinkers. So basically, the fish are everywhere in the kelp. That's where they feel safe. But you have to find a spot where you can get in and out of. What's the point of hooking a fish if you can't get it out? Now, normally spots in the kelp where there's white water breaking near works well. Whether it's a big rock or a thick patch of kelp, that will make the water pick up and break. The fish are normally more active in those zones. There's more oxygen in that white water, making the fish more awake, and the waves breaking over the reefs and kelp washes food loose for them to eat. So always look for an opening in the kelp where there's deeper water and some white water near. That will make the perfect fishing spot. A big swell is also good for a fish like galjoen. On the high, they normally come right up to the shore where you won't normally fish. Your deeper water is better for red roman, poonsie, yellow belly and also KOB, but it's a lot more complicated than that. Fish use a structure to feed and to hide on. Whether it's deeper water, you're still throwing towards a reef or a rock. These deep water spots normally work good on low swell and a spring low tide. When the water is this low, you can now walk to those spots that's normally too dangerous to fish on and fish the deeper water. Carp also loves the kelp. In the summer with the warmer water, the southeaster brings in a lot of color and the carp normally hangs around in it. Too much color is not good, but the carp do prefer dirtier water. This makes it a bit complicated because when that southeaster keeps on blowing, it blows the water cold and the carp also disappears. This is one of your tools come into play, your polarized sunglasses. It's easier to spot those patches of brown water, and when you get that patch in and around cleaner water, you can sure make a throw into that brown patch and your chances are good for hooking a carp. Okay, so just to talk about the spot we fish, as you can see there's kelp there, a little bit kelp there, a little bit there. There's kelp all around, so a lot of shelter for the carp to hide in, and then also the yellow foam. So the mullet, the bait fish, they come and hide in this yellow foam, and the carp come after the mullet. So this is why we chose this spot. The yellow water, as you can see there, the yellow foam, it causes a bit of discoloration in the water, and that's the perfect hunting ground for carp when there's a bit of color in the water, a bit of dirty water. So yeah, nice and flat water, some white water also around the kelp, so perfect spot for carp.